After 6 months of closed beta testing, Kefir is finally ready to release Frostborn to open beta. Frostborn has some similarities to its predecessor Last Day on Earth, but this time they use different technology, allowing multiplayer to be integrated throughout the entire game. Frostborn is best played with 4 players who gather resources together and build a joint base. As you level up, you will unlock a variety of spells. These spells are incredibly dynamic and require skill to use them. And then after enough success, your team can undertake Odin's Temple, which is a co-op dungeon challenge. This challenge is intense and you will not succeed unless you know what you were doing. So today I have 117 tips and tricks for you. After choosing your name and appearance, I would strongly recommend inviting 3 friends to play with you. Frostborn is designed to be a 4-player game and you will not make it very far without teammates. If you do not have friends that want to play with you, I have put a link to Frostborn's official Discord in the pinned post of this video. That is going to be the best place to find teammates, and I recommend choosing teammates that have a similar time zone. Once you find your 3 teammates, you can click on this flag to invite them into your family, but it is important to note that a family is not like a clan in other games. Your family functions more like a squad would in PUBG. You do not want to invite someone who is going to weigh you down, and ideally you want people you can trust with everything you have, but I'll talk more about that later on. Once they accept your invitation, your bases will be joined together, as will everything else in the game. There is no part of Frostborn that you cannot do with your family. After you clear your areas, I would recommend chatting with your teammates about what kind of base you want to build to make sure that the stuff you gather doesn't get stolen. If you're a more casual family, then I would recommend each of you building your own bases separately, just in case you guys decide to break up later on down the road. But if you are more intense players and want to build the best base out there, then it is important for you guys to coordinate your plans to build one giant impenetrable base. For more tips on base building, make sure to check out my playlist that covers both types of base building strategies. After you've made your plans and put everything in chests, make sure that 3 of your teammates have backpacks and spears, and then head to the green zone. The green zone is not difficult in and of itself, but once you enter a PvP zone, you cannot leave unless you stand still at the edge of the map for 5 seconds. So send in your naked team member to scout out the area, and then if no one is around, have the rest of the team follow. Once you're all in the area, stay together and farm as quickly as possible. You can save some resources by timing your sneak attacks as a team, but remember that these enemies are not the real threat in this zone. After only 45 seconds of farming, find a chest or a dead body and have all of your teammates offload their stuff in there. This will cause it to stack to its maximum amount, and then one of your teammates with a backpack should gather everything they can and then head back to the base. Do this again with 3 team members for 1 minute, and then if you're feeling lucky, do it again with 2 team members. This might seem overly cautious, but if you die, you lose everything on you. And this early in the game, everything on you is pretty much everything you have. Now, as time goes on and you are able to craft some basic gear, your team won't have to be as cautious in the green zone. When this happens, here are 5 more tips for you for this zone. If you see a player with really good gear, he can probably kill all 4 of you by himself, so do not run back to your teammates. If you guys are already together when you see a strong enemy, then whoever gets targeted should run away from the team, allowing their teammates to get out of the zone in time. If you see an enemy that looks easy for you to take out, then you will want to kill him because, well, that's fun. Which is fine, killing people is sometimes lucrative, but unless you've been playing for a long time and really know what you're doing, I would recommend that you always return home after killing someone. More than 50% of my kills in this game are when someone killed me in the green zone and I had nothing on me, and then I put on my really good gear and got my teammates to join me, and we went and killed them. We got our stuff back, we got their stuff, and then we went home. They might seem weak when you kill them, but you don't know what they have at home or what kind of friends they have. So if you kill someone, I recommend going home. Also, it's important to note that when you die, the items you are holding lose 30% of their durability, and then all of the items you are carrying lose 15% of their durability. So if you trade too many deaths, you are literally just destroying items. And then my last tip for this stage of farming is that if your team is struggling with the PvP aspect of the game so that it's hard to get the most basic resources, I recommend traveling to the secret entrance entrance of Helheim. Even though it costs a lot of energy to get there and there are no chests, this zone is not a PvP zone, so it is the least risky way to get wood, stone, fiber, seeds, rope, meat, or animal skin. Just make sure not to aggro the big boss in the middle of the map. When you reach level 3, you will unlock your first spell slot along with the Firebolt, which does 15 damage at a long distance. Spells have long cooldowns and require skill to use them, but they are free damage and higher level skills give much bigger benefits. For example, at level 6 you unlock the Frostborn, which slows your enemy by 30% for 3 seconds. This might not seem like much, but it is an incredible skill. If used well, you can lock in a kill from someone who is trying to run away, or even split up an enemy party to secure a victory. And then at level 9 you unlock the Healing Wave, which is particularly helpful at Odin's because it saves you a lot of food. And then at level 10 you unlock a second spell slot, allowing you to pair 2 spells that work together. For a full list of all the spells, what they do, when to use them, and how to pair them together, make sure to check out my video on everything about spells. As soon as one of your team members travels enough that their energy drops below 70, the Cursed Town event will appear for everyone on your team. If it does not appear, this is because you have not explored enough of the map. The best way to do that is to use all of your energy right before you go to bed to get as far out as you can, and then set your character to walk back while you are sleeping. The Cursed Town event is also PvP related, but unlike the zones where you will run into a lot of bored pay-to-win players looking for a kill, people attending the event will likely be going to do the event. So I recommend putting on the gear you found in the abandoned house, equipping an extra spear, and then heading over there as a team. The enemies are not difficult, so use your spears as much as possible, but if you see real players, then have the closest guy wave to them while the others switch to your daggers. In this context, a wave or putting something in the chat is often the best way to stay out of a fight. The chest of this zone has some great stuff, as does the mini-boss Draugr, which can be found at the end of the maze. After the energy of one of you drops below 50, the Carnage event should appear. This is not a PvP event, and it has amazing items. So even though one person could easily defeat all the enemies at this event with a spear, you will need your whole team just to bring all the loot home. At this point, you should have the resources to build most of the low-level workbenches. These workbenches are incredibly important because they allow you to turn the items you have collected into more valuable items. And then as you level up, you will be able to use newer workbenches to turn those items into even better items. Frostborn has one of the most diverse selections of weapons and items, and many of them have special effects on them. Gray items are the lowest quality and should be used for the green zone. Green items are quite a bit better and should be used for yellow and red zones. Blue items are really good and should be saved for Odin's, and then purple items are the best in the game and should be saved for PvP. For a list of every item in the game, what they do, and how to get them, make sure to check out my playlist called All the Items of Frostborn. Now, some of the items cannot be made by workbenches yet, but a lot of them can, so building better workbenches means having better gear. This is how progression in these types of games work, so it is very important that you build and use your workbenches. This is where having teammates that you trust will speed up your progression, because allowing them to use your workbenches or even your materials will help you guys all get what you need faster. Probably the best example of this is nails. You can get nails in the yellow and red zones, but they are far more rare than you will have need of them. But then once you are able to build a workbench, you can craft nails for just 1 iron each, which is really easy. So as soon as one family member gets to level 34, I strongly recommend putting your resources together to build a workbench that you guys can share, because it will make things a lot easier. As your team progresses, you guys will eventually be able to farm the yellow and red zone. Unlike the green zones, you cannot show up with spears and backpacks and expect to get anywhere in these zones. You have to bring at least low-level items, which means you have more to lose if your team is killed. Furthermore, the most common reason to go to yellow and red zones is to enter and loot the cellars, because they have really good items and the boss at the end has a chance of dropping an offering to Odin, which is key to gaining access to Odin's temple. But once you enter a cellar, you are an easy target, because when a team above ground sees that all the enemies have been cleared around the cellar door, they can get prepared before coming down to fight you. And then if that team is smart and engages when your team is fighting a giant, you will be pinned on both sides. So yellow and red zones are quite difficult, and I would recommend different tactics based on what resources you are trying to get. That being said, I do have 4 general tips for you. The first one is to use scouts. Scouts allow you to see an enemy before they see you, which gives you a head start on whether or not you want to fight or run away. If there is grass near the cellar door, I would recommend hiding one of your players there while the other 3 clear the cellar. If a team comes, this extra warning should give your team enough time to meet them at the entrance. Players loading into a cellar appear 1 to 2 seconds before they can see or use their characters, which gives your team a huge head start on killing them. If there is no grass near the cellar, you can still stand watch outside the cellar, and you will most likely make it inside before the enemy team gets to you, but they will know that you know that they are there. And then lastly, if an enemy team does catch you off guard and comes in behind you while you are clearing a cellar, and you have a team that works well together, you can round up a bunch of enemies, and then when they get close, have your team run past them. The enemy will likely be so distracted by attacking you that they won't really know what's going on. So after you pass them, turn and fight. The enemies attracted will then attack them instead of you. If this has never happened to them before, there's a good chance that they will think the enemies are still targeting your team and won't even realize that they are getting attacked from both sides until it is too late. But if they do realize, try to kite them while attacking, or if you can't do that, then just run in a different direction than they are, even if it's a dead end. As long as you run faster than them, the enemy will keep chasing them all the way to the entrance. For more tactics on green, yellow, and red zones tailored specifically towards the most efficient way to get a certain resource, make sure to check out my playlist on the efficacious way to get rich. As you look at the map, you will see 3 bases that are not yours. These are real bases with real players. A new set of families will be selected every 48 hours, and when they do, I recommend going to the totem of protection in the middle of your bases, checking out their player levels, and then deciding which families you want to offer peace to. Each day your totem has to recharge for 1 hour, so unless you've secured peace with all 3 families, you will want to pick a time that everyone in your family will be on so that you guys can protect your base. It is also helpful to build a crow's nest and feed it for that hour so that you can go back and see who it was that you were fighting or who visited and you didn't know it. On the other hand, when this timer runs out, you will also get a chance to raid your neighbors for 1 hour. Raiding other players is really expensive as it requires a lot of hatchets and picklocks, so I would only suggest doing it after you get really bored of doing cellars at the yellow and red zones. After doing over a dozen successful cellar runs, your team might be ready to do the first floor of Odin's temple. I'm serious. Even with 4 players in decent gear, Odin's temple is incredibly difficult. But when you do complete Odin's, it gives you a ton of the best items in the game. So once you've saved up a ton of ranged weapons, food, and blue gear, do it again 3 more times, and then watch my video on how to do Odin's. In addition to these 108 tips and tricks, I have 9 more for you. At the time I'm making this video, I have mentioned every location that currently exists in the game. Some of the other locations can be traveled to, but the items needed to access them are not yet available. I'm sure new locations will become active in upcoming updates. For example, this treasury has a countdown timer of 85 days, so I have a feeling the devs are planning to add this to the game before that timer runs out, which is exciting because it looks like families will be warring over control of this location. If you would like to know when these new locations become available, I would suggest subscribing to a YouTuber that covers this game. Also, there are a ton of items that don't yet exist in the game, like the horse and the boat. But again, they will probably come out with those in future updates, and I will post videos about them as soon as they do. You can cancel a spell by moving your finger exactly on this and then releasing it. Sometimes it's faster to hit the take all button so that everything stacks and then place the items back in the chest. If you move while in a bush, people can see the grass moving. They probably won't notice this if they aren't looking for you, but they will easily see it if they are. You cannot build 2 doors on the same square. This prevents honeycombing and makes base planning all the more important, which I cover in my base design video. I recommend building a common area with the most commonly shared workbenches in the middle of your base. I also explain more about this in my base building video. Well, that's it guys, hope that helps. If you're excited about this game, I again recommend joining the Frostborn Discord server. In addition to meeting other players of the game, the devs use that Discord to make important announcements and do giveaways. Lastly, please keep in mind that YouTube does not pay a whole lot, so liking, subscribing, or supporting me on Patreon are all ways that you can help me make more videos for you guys. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.